Welcome to Virtue Podcast, powered by Azkka Pharmaceuticals, India's first company to bring evidence-based flat pricing in medicine. Virtue Podcast brings in renowned healthcare experts as we explore the path to healthier living, where science meets virtuosity. Tune in to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify as we welcome our virtuous guest. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon for the latest updates, and leave your comments.
Welcome back to the Azkka Virtue Podcast, where we decode the secrets of well-being with experts who truly care. I am Bhavin Bhatt, and today's episode takes us right to the edge of innovation, where technology enters the cath lab before most have even heard its name. And when you are talking about futuristic cardiology in India, you cannot do it without Dr. Prakash Kumar Hazra. We are diving into a special conversation titled When You Are Ahead of Time, a Global Cardiology. And we'll explore not just the tech, but the mindset that makes someone say yes before the world catches up. This podcast is available on our YouTube channel, Facebook page, Instagram, and Spotify as well. It's an honor to have you, sir, for this interaction. The title of today's conversation says about technology. Three very important words: shockwave, micra, and mitra clip. For our listeners who may be not very familiar with this, can you, sir, briefly explain with what these technologies are?
Right. So the technology transfer in medical world is now very fast. Whatever happens in US is to take a lot of time to travel for patients' care in India. So my first journey with this new technology starts with mitra clip. So there is a friend of mine who had heart attack, and I did the angioplasty, and he's a businessman, very charming person, wants to live long, but unfortunately he had heart attack. So he had a leaky valve. That means there are four valves out of four valves. So one of the valve was leaking in spite of fixing his artery by stenting, angioplasty, statin therapy, hypertensive therapy, heart failure therapy. So I was looking for some places in the world where he can have a relief without cutting his chest. The surgeon here all over the country said no, he cannot undergo the valve replacement surgery. Is too high risk for any open heart surgery and valve replacement. So I took him to Germany and got the clip done. That means this leaky valve was closed without opening the chest. That is a kind of miracle on the table. And in Germany, I learned about 5 cases, and it's not possible to do the first case there without any training and attachment. But I was lucky enough to participate in that lab, Dr. Olaf Rangen. So he came back, and this news was telecasted, and it was published in Times of India all over the country, a German hope for Indian patient. And he lived with this clip for 11 years. Since then, and that was the first time in India, and nobody heard about this. Then I developed this kind of passion inside me to know the newer technology without going to US, bring the technology without going to Europe. So these are now reality. So that was mitra clip. Then in my life came the micra in Eastern India. So people who have a pacemaker, they usually come back for two things. One is your pacemaker has stopped working because the battery has exhausted. And secondly, for pacemaker infection, rather than going for routine, regular follow-up. So these are the two indications they need surgery again. So this tiny pacemaker, which not visible from outside, not palpable, there's no cutting, no scissor, no stitching in the chest left. So it's like a capsule pacemaker, and now it can last for almost silently in your body almost 30 years.
Wow.
So one pacemaker, one life. So that is called wireless pacemaker, leadless pacemaker. So that man was around 85 years man, and he had a pacemaker which got exhausted and infected. So now we have our technique called laser technique to remove this wire. But during those days, about 25 years back, this pacemaker was implanted after 15 years. So it was around, I think, 2015 or 16 when I did the first wireless pacemaker in Eastern India. And the same patient is still under follow-up. I mean, they still are living with this tiny capsule pacemaker, like a 2-gram pacemaker. And this pacemaker even works in space station. So this is against gravity, against your Earth magnetic field, and it completely is so small, it gets embedded inside the heart. It is not visible even by routine X-ray. It is so tiny. And third innovations which I brought here, the shockwave therapy, laser therapy, and radiofrequency therapy for hypertension. So as you have asked for shockwave, this is a kind of, if you're sitting here, if I pass invisible sound to your specs, if I could break your specs. If the sound is so intensive, the missile era now, we are talking about supersonic missile. So you have to have that kind of frequency. It is invisible. So people started melting the kidney stone with shockwave. So this is kind of energy delivered externally in your body. This is called lithotripsy. So my first man was an elderly man who had a bypass and his arteries are calcified. And there were another lady who was very young and she was not convinced about the shockwave. She left the hospital. She thought I'm doing something which is new, which can kill her. But fortunately, this was already tested in hundreds of patients in US and Europe. And I was the first one to bring this technology in AMRA hospital. That time it was Dhakuria AMRA hospital. Now it is Manipal Dhakuria hospital. And that patient did very well. And he said, I don't want to go for another bypass surgery. You have to fix my artery, blocked artery, clogged artery. By your stenting, newer technology, I can afford it. So affordability was an issue. But for certain people, they work hard, they earn for their good living, not only for themselves, for their children, their wife, and their family members. So that is the story of shockwave, micra, laser, and MitaClick.
So that's incredible. I mean, what I love is how accessible you made that sound. Because honestly, those devices sound like they belong to some sci-fi movies for people who are not familiar with. So you have been consistently one of the earliest adopters of high-end cardiology technology in India. So micra, shockwave, MitraClip, and even artificial heart procedures. When you look back now, what gave you that conviction to say yes before anyone else?
Actually, I hail from a tiny village in Midnapur, West Bengal. And from my early childhood days, I used to listen to, these international radios, the music, the news. That time it was not available on internet or any print media. So from there, I learned that there are a lot of things happening outside my own country, and which is not possible for me to learn right now. So once I became a doctor, that time also it was not possible to learn this technology in a government hospital. So I started watching them on YouTube. And YouTube, whatever happens first in the world, there are some good people, they put their thoughts and videos on the YouTube first. Not all of them, but some of them so nice and they are so dedicated and passionate about publishing and posting these videos. So I started seeing those kind of videos in YouTube. I haven't gone to any Western countries to learn this technique. And these social media, YouTube, there are some internet sites where you can learn the beautiful things. And there are a lot of beautiful operators who do not get any opportunity or chance to publish their cases in international journal, international forum, but they do publish in small YouTube channels. From there, I learned that these are the new technology. I have the passion to learn about space, to know about your nuclear bomb, music, movies, whatever is there in this world, why not? I learn and try to implement the same kind of therapy and staying ahead of time with my colleagues. So in one word, in one line, I learned it from social media only. So that really internet and social media. In artificial heart, there's a friend of mine who was dying. He had arrest in front of me, and he is a millionaire. And he said, "Can I have a transplant of the heart?" I said, "Yes, but it's not available. It's not happening here in India." So I took him to Singapore, Mount Elizabeth Hospital. There he got the artificial heart. I was there inside. And it's a beautiful machine. He lived with this artificial heart. And this is the first man to have artificial heart in India. So that time he came back to my hospital in AMR at Dhakuria. I did some initial adjustment of the cannula in our CTBS OT and some minor adjustment with the speed of the machine. And look, this is implant. So the rest of the things are monitored. He never had to go to Singapore again for his complication. He had bleeding, etc. Anyway, so this artificial heart, is can have an alternative to your heart failure patient living with very symptomatic, very low blood pressure. So it's kind of alternative to your transplant. Transplant nowadays much easily available. Even the transplant cost is 40-50 lakhs. And you have to undergo biopsy every month, immunosuppressive therapy. So that's how I got the passion to learn and to know and to bring this technology. So we have friends outside, we collaborate with them. There are scientists outside, and there are Indian companies, pharmaceutical companies, India tech companies, device companies. They help you to bring a proctor from outside. But I learned all these things without any proctor. And now I proctored almost 100 hospitals. I have proctor All Indian Institute, Apollo, Escorts, GB Pant Hospital, all Apollo Army, Navy, all across South India, North India, East India. What I have learned that the people love me because I also pass this technology and technique and the teaching to my juniors, and it spreads. So basically, it's a kind of teaching. I do not work in a teaching institute, so I have the passion of teaching people so that they become the next generation to take care of our next
So
generation.
to giving it back to
I give it back to the society.
very true, very true. So, sir, I mean, that sense of clinical courage, which is indeed very inspiring. It's one thing to adopt change, it's another to lead it. So, both things are very, very important in this. And I think the way you have summarized and narrated, it will also inspire a lot of young doctors that being an early adopter and being open to things outside of your field is very, very important. I mean, that is something, it is very fascinating to hear that out of social media, that really motivated you and gave you that courage to adopt to newer technologies. So let's zoom into cath lab now. You were the first to use ultrasonic shockwave therapy in Eastern India for complex coronaries. What was your first case like? I mean, and how did this technology change the way you approach calcified lesions?
So in calcified lesion, there are few therapies like you can do without using this new technology like rotor balloon. So we have the first shockwave to treat or break these rigid solid calcium inside your heart. These are stones basically, the stone formation inside the arteries. As I mentioned earlier, the shockwave technology was very new, and it was from US, and it was very costly that time. But I could convince one patient, very sick patient, post bypass patient, as I mentioned. There are other therapies which was done for the first time in Eastern India for calcium. We call orbital. So there is electrical motor which can cut these stones like a diamond cutter. That was also for the first time in Amri Hospital, Manipal Group Hospital. Now that was first time in India. And now the latest technology which is available in AMR Dhakuria, Manipal Dhakuria is laser. Now, as I mentioned, sound wave, now we use the light waves. So if you pass very intense laser light, I can cut from a distance, okay? And I can break your button. So this laser is so focused, so tiny, and it is so high, precise, and high energy delivered precisely at particular zone. So if you know that there is a calcium, so that laser technology, this machine is very costly again, and I have brought this machine to our institute. So the many people who are not candidate for surgery or surgery cannot be done, they have refused surgery. The surgeon has refused surgery because it is so hard they cannot clean the arteries. So this laser, orbital, rota, and shock waves all are new techniques, and these all happened in our institute. So again, the patient's confidence on me, continuous learning, continuous updating myself with new technique and technology, knowing new things earlier than my own colleague, and implementing this kind of methodology or the technique, the process in a needy patient who really needs it. So there was a time people used to go to South or Bombay or Delhi for this kind of treatment. Now people invite me, come and show me and teach me. So these are the new technique which has really opened up a new field in the treatment of many heart disease which can be treated without opening the heart.
Wow. So, sir, it's so powerful to hear you speak not just as a clinician, but as a craftsman using new tool for the first time. Sir, having said that, this leads to my next question that pacemakers have always had a certain look and approach, but Micra changed that completely. You were the second in India to implant it. How did this device shift your mindset as an implanter?
Right. I'm now a proctor. Like just now, I have done Micra in GP Panda Hospital, government hospital in Delhi, and I'm the highest implanter of Micra in the country, and also a proctor, the number one proctor. Now, this Micra is such a tiny device; it goes inside your heart like a capsule from your groin, and it sits there and continuously stimulate the heart, and it works like a regular pacemaker silently, and it is not visible, not palpable like on the chest. There is no wear, absolutely there is no wear. So these are wireless pacemaker or leadless pacemaker. There is no strings attached or no lead. That means there is no wear inside. This is just the device itself. It's a battery. So this battery is so powerful, but it is very tiny. So this nanotechnology. And this micra, now we have about AVR also. These micras or AVR, the single chamber, double chamber, it works like a regular pacemaker. Those people who are very elderly, those who do not want to take any risk of infection, those who have a dialysis line in their hand, those who are on oral blood thinners, and those who can afford it. And even children, like in children, had a pacemaker. I have a patient, world's first pacemaker in a 9-year-old girl who had 6 pacemaker infections from childhood, and she had to undergo. It was Pune, and that lady, that girl, still living with a single pacemaker.
Wow. Okay. So, sir, especially for young cardiologists who are still hesitant to go leadless, what you would say to them?
Yeah, they say that the leadless pacemaker is a costly one, and the regular pacemaker lasts as good as wireless pacemaker. But nowadays, the lifespan of leadless pacemaker, wireless pacemaker, Micra, and AVR almost double. As I mentioned, one life, one pacemaker, like, and guarantee goes up to 24 years. 20 to 24 years, 17, 20, 24 years. Those kind of battery life, guaranteed battery life, was never ever possible with regular pacemaker. And the complication rate definitely is much lower with wireless pacemaker. Very obese patients, those who have low platelet count, those who are on blood thinner, the micra, in dialysis patient, very old patient is the only solution.
So, from wires to wireless, it really does sound like, cardiology has moved into its Bluetooth moment, I would say. Uh, Sir, again, a very exciting question. I'm personally very excited to know this that being on a team of India's artificial heart case, which is an extraordinary milestone. Can you take us inside that operating room, how do you see the changing landscape in modern cardiology in
Look,
India?
this artificial heart is regularly done in northern part of the country, southern part of the country nowadays. So heart stops and there is a machine or a tulu pump, is basically pump, which sucks blood from one ventricle and ejects into the aorta. That's the basic mechanism. Children suffering from cardiomyopathy, dilated cardiomyopathy, very large heart, very weak heart. These are the people who lives with the artificial heart. The beauty of artificial heart, like my patient, uh, the speed, he started playing golf. He started driving back again. So this can be regulated from outside, the speed, the pumping flow, etc. Now it is not for everybody. It is again very costly. HeartMate 2, almost 1 crore rupees the cost in our hospital. So it is a breakthrough technology. Almost a few, I think, 1 million people, a million of people are living with artificial heart worldwide. So it was few thousand, 60, 70, 1 lakh. Now it has gone beyond that. And in US, where people actually wait for transplant, the artificial heart is the bridge to transplant. That means you have the artificial heart now. If you really want to go for a complete non-battery operated, non-electricity operated device, that means this pump is actually battery operated. You have to recharge again and again and again, almost 4 times in a day. So you have to get hooked. Electricity has to be there continuously in your home. At your home, somebody has to take care of the machine. So artificial heart is not a exciting moment for me because it's purely a surgeon's device. But the cardiologists, they play with the device ultimately on echo, the flow, etc. So cardiologist has a very big role to play with, and that man had already a angioplasty, had a micro pacemaker, one defibrillator, so he could afford. I mean, he lived quite a good life, almost a decade or so.
Wow. So something which you are saying so in a subtle way, it actually gives us goosebumps, because artificial heart is something maybe say a few years before nobody would have ever heard of. So with all this innovation, here's a big question: do you ever feel that technology arrives faster than the healthcare system itself, or even the patients, before they can truly absorb it?
It's very difficult to tell the patient that this device is the first time in your body in Eastern India. They get scared. But as you have said, there is a lot of delay in bringing this technology. So it has to undergo through animal experiment, then first in man experiment, then randomized clinical trial, usually done outside our country. Uh, FDA approval or C mark gives us a kind of certifications that this device can be implanted, can be tried in human beings in India. Uh, so these are all gone through scientific trials. This is no more experiment in India, but outside our country, these are all experimental. And to start with, the startup companies, they get some volunteers. They are paid by the insurers. So there are a lot of technicality, logistics are there behind bringing any new technology, whether it is a valve, whether it is a device, shockwave, laser, orbital, any new technology, any balloon technology, any new stent. Is a challenging thing for a person like me working in a private sector. Very challenging sometimes.
True. So, sir, with such high stress profession in which you are into, and especially being the first adopter, I can absolutely understand that with what mental state the day passes by. Something which in a clinical setup or a hospital setup, uh, which is where things are very serious and our patients or listeners would never know. I would like to ask you that how do Dr. P K Hazra unplug himself?
Right. I think I never wanted to live like a mediocre, like an average people, average doctor. And it was a kind of challenge in my mind that how I become extraordinary and one white swan out of many black swans. And I unplugged myself by listening to music, avid music lover. movie lover, not Hindi movies, mainly Western movies, Western music. So that's my passion from my college days, medical college days. And again, it is not a direct transfer from my gene, but I have learned it. I have tested it initially. I loved it, and I cultured it. Next thing is my sports. I'm a sportsman, marathoner, and maybe I'm venturing into golf nowadays. So, movie, music, sports, cricket, politics, world economics, and world innovations. These keep me going out of this stressful life, the painful life of when the patient die. You cry, you feel very bad, you can't eat. So I feel bad when they die, but this is just another day, and I should not do the same mistake again in the next patient. So that keeps me going. Like there will be a lot of bad moments in your life, good moments in your life. Your family, your wife supports you, your children supports you, your friends and colleagues supports you, your parents and hospital loves you, the administration loves you, they help you. That's how I keep going.
Wow, that's indeed very inspiring because even the most advanced heart needs a rhythm outside of medicine, I would say. So, sir, as we are coming closer to end of this fantastic interaction, like we see in all the, I would say, talk shows and different kind of shows, there's a rapid fire round. So we thought that why not take this opportunity, where we can have this some fun-filled questions that we can ask and understand and know, have the insights about Dr. P K Hazra, which I don't think anybody would have ever known till now. So, sir, are you ready for
Yes.
rapid fire? I'm sure it is going to be very rapid and full of fire. So, are you ready? Yeah. What's harder, introducing a new technology or convincing people to trust it?
Second one.
Okay. What does the word cardiologist mean to you in just one word?
Heal people.
Okay. One procedure that still gives you butterflies no matter how many times you have done it.
TAVR, that is transaortic valve replacement. That means replacing your aortic valve with a stent without opening the heart. TAVR or TAVI.
Okay. Your favorite Bengali quote or line that inspires you during tough days.
Uh, in daily life, I would say from Tagore, Chitto jeta bhoy shunno uchcho jeta shir. That means you should be fearless and should always hold your head high. In difficult time, in a situation of humiliations and bad time, good time, that should be the motto.
Okay. Rasgulla, Sandesh, or Mishti Dahi. Which sweet wins your Bengali heart?
Sandesh,
Okay. Bengal's heartbeat is?
PK Hazra.
Wow. Superb, sir. Uh, Sir, it's been an honor to have you. And thank you not just for advancing Indian cardiology, but for making this conversation as human and forward looking as your clinical work.
Thank
To
you.
all our listeners, if you ever wondered what it takes to be a trailblazer in healthcare, this conversation just gave you the blueprint of it. Let this episode remind you that the future doesn't always knock. Sometimes it's built by those who dare to open the door before anyone else. Dr. Azra, thank you so much for your time, your
Thank you very
stories,
much.
and your vision. This has been such an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.